Thank you for joining us today. I'm just going to give a little intro here. Today, of course, we're commemorating the 40th anniversary of the Beirut barracks bombing. But I just want to introduce the team that's putting this presentation on today. We have Carly Taylor and Carly Thompson and Amber Thompson, our speaker. They did a great job this week, in the past week preparing. So without further ado, here's Amber Thompson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Beirut, Lebanon, October the 23rd, 1983. 40 years ago to the day. It's 0600 hours in Beirut. Most of the Marines, the sailors, and the soldiers were soaking in their last few minutes of rest before starting another long day under the hot Lebanese sun. Some servicemen were starting their morning routines, and it was supposed to be like any other day for the multinational force, the MNF. Suddenly, an ear-shattering blast followed by a rush of searing heat ripped through the base. Just before 6:30 a.m., a 19-ton yellow stake bed truck loaded with 2,000 pounds of explosives was driven into the battalion landing team's concrete headquarters building. A suicide bomber had caused, as the FBI stated, the largest non-nuclear explosion since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. An after-action investigation by the FBI determined that the bomb was so powerful that the blast would have caused serious devastation, regardless of where it had been detonated. This has been said to be the deadliest day in Marine Corps history since Iwo Jima in World War II. 241 lives were lost in the events and the aftermath of the explosion. Of those killed in action, 220 were Marines, 18 were sailors, and 3 were soldiers. The years of 1982 and 1983 were anything but peaceful for Lebanon. Early in 1982, there was a siege in Beirut. Israeli forces had encircled the city and chose to keep the city under siege. Israeli forces bombarded targets in Beirut from land, sea, and air, and attempted to assassinate Palestinian leaders through airstrikes. But at this point in time, Lebanon was not unfamiliar with civil war, as theirs had started in 1975 and did not end until 1990. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, otherwise referred to as the PLO, is a nationalist coalition meant to advocate and represent the Palestinian people. They relocated to Beirut in the mid-1970s, but their presence was a catalyst for conflict in Lebanon. Over the next few years, the PLO in Syria gained power in Lebanon, surpassing even the official Lebanese government in strength. To aid in the effort to get terrorist forces out of Beirut, American, French, and Italian troops arrived to supervise the evacuation of the PLO from Lebanon's capital as a part of the multinational force. After 8 weeks of negotiation, 8 countries volunteered to give asylum to the PLO. Those countries being Syria, Jordan, Iraq, the Republic of South Yemen, North Yemen, Sudan, Tunisia, and also Algeria. Between August the 21st and September the 1st, 1982, about 14,000 PLO fighters were evacuated. By September the 10th, the PLO officially left the port of Beirut. The Marines, the soldiers, and the sailors overseeing the evacuation, they departed as well, thinking that they'd accomplished their mission. However, less than a week later, the Lebanese president-elect and Phalangist leader of the Lebanese forces, Bashir Gemayel, was assassinated on September the 14th of 1982. Gemayel's assassination kicked off a wave of unprecedented violence. Militiamen retaliated by killing hundreds, if not thousands, of Palestinians in the Sabra and Shatila refugee camps. Lebanon was once again in chaos. The multinational force was ordered back to Beirut, and by September the 29th, the 32nd Marine Amphibious Unit had landed for their second time. Consisting of service members from America, France, the United Kingdom, and Italy, the multinational force was an international peacekeeping force created in August of 1982. It was created as an interposition force that was meant to oversee the peaceful withdrawal of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, as well as any other foreign combatants involved in Lebanon's civil war. It was formed with the mission to help, to support, to stabilize the Lebanese government and assist the Lebanese armed forces in the Beirut area. Additionally, the MNF was in charge of training various units of the Lebanese armed forces. The MNF was not authorized to engage in combat, but was given the authority to exercise the right of self-defense. Those who made it home have since described their mission in Beirut, in quotes, as 80% political and only 20% military. Not lock and load allowed, going directly against their aggressive training, Marines were told they were there to keep the peace. U.S. Marines of the HQ Landing Team, 1st Battalion, 8th Marines, 24 Marine Amphibian Unit, the MAU, entered Lebanon on their mission to maintain order and allow the Lebanese government time to rebuild. Viewed as allies to the Lebanese government, the multinational force became the target of various radical groups. Islamic Jihad, a relatively unknown group at that time, claimed responsibility for the bombing in Beirut. Investigators later concluded that the attack was organized by Hezbollah, the Iranian and Syrian-sponsored proxy army. In the past, Islamic militants had used abduction to provoke the West, most notably in Tehran in 1979, when more than 60 United States Embassy personnel were kidnapped. The October the 23rd attack made it clear that tactics used by extremists had shifted. Dying for the cause was no longer a worry, it was encouraged, as long as the damage caused was devastating. This updated version of guerrilla warfare had carried on over the course of the last 40 years to today as a standard for some of those extremist groups. Consequently, countless lives have been lost in similar attacks, and those of service members and civilians alike. The families of the NMF were stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. After the tragedy that had occurred in Beirut, commanding officers were tasked with informing those families. Many of the victims of the attack were residents of Jacksonville, North Carolina. The community was rocked. The fathers, the brothers, the neighbors had been stolen away. The City of Jacksonville Beautification and Appearance Commission already had a memorial tree program in place, and they made the decision to seek permission to plant a memorial tree for each and every one of those lost in Beirut. Every year, on October the 23rd at 10 a.m., the Beirut Memorial Grove hosts a remembrance observance to recognize and to honor those who sacrificed their all. Planted in this grove are 273 flowering Chinese pistache trees, each one symbolizing a member of the fallen. After the tree dedication, residents of Oslo County, which encompassed Jacksonville, felt compelled to continue their contributions, and the commission made plans to build a simple marker to denote the history and the emotional weight of those trees. Camp Lejeune offered 4.5 acres of publicly accessible land, allowing the commission to widen their vision and create the stone memorial that we see today. The memorial is made up of 2 walls, standing divided, representing the crumbled walls of the bombed headquarters building, with the statue of the serviceman positioned between. The concrete walls are inscribed with 273 names, 241 Marines, sailors, and soldiers who were killed in action, the 29 servicemen who later passed as a result of their injuries, and the names of the 3 Marine Corps pilots from Jacksonville, North Carolina, who were killed in the 1983 Grenada rescue operation. The opposite stone wall simply yet boldly states, "They came in peace," in homage to the survivors of October the 23rd, 1983, who, after rescue missions in Beirut, assembled a makeshift memorial consisting of a stretcher, a wreath, and a sign that read 24 MAU. They came in peace. Beirut families later requested that the poem entitled "The Other Wall," written by Robert A. Gannon, be added to the memorial. And in 1991, the poem was cast in bronze as a permanent reminder and part of the memorial with a special dedication ceremony. So we would like to close today by honoring those who passed with a reading of that poem. It does not stand in Washington by others of its kind, in prominence and dignity with the mission clearly defined. It does not list the men who died, that tyranny should cease, but speaks in silent eloquence of those who came in peace. This other wall is solemn, white, and cut in simple lines, and it nestles in the splendor of the Carolina pines. And on this wall, there are the names of the men who once had gone in friendship's name to offer aid to Beirut, Lebanon. They did not go as conquerors to bring a nation down, or for honor, or for glory, or for praises or renown. When they landed on that foreign shore, their only thought in mind was the safety of its people and the good of all mankind. They offered only friendship and freedom's holy breath. They were met with scorn, mockery, violence, death. So the story of their glory is not the battles fought, but of their love for freedom, which was so dearly bought. And their wall shall stand forever, so long as freedom shines on the splendor and the glory of the Carolina pines. This is The Other Wall by R.A. Gannon. And today we're remembering Beirut 40 years later. They came in peace. Thank you.